The Vendée Arctique Les Sables has announced that the race course has been shortened and will be stopped at the Iceland Gate. The strong low-pressure system in the North Atlantic near Iceland, which is hitting the fleet still racing on the Vendée Arctique Les Sables, has proven to be more dangerous than first forecast. The race direction has decided to make the Iceland Gate, to the east of Iceland, the finish line. 3 solo skippers had already crossed the gate this morning: Dalin, APIVIA, Jérémie Beyou, Charal, and Thomas Ruyant, LinkedOut. At the time of writing this, Benjamin Ferré, Monnoyeur-Duo for a job, was approaching what has become the finish line, and was set to take 4th position. But the increasing threat from the low pressure precipitated the organization's decision this evening. A constant detailed analysis of all of the weather models, and the weather phenomena in the area affecting the 20 solo skippers still racing, finally made the decision obvious, considering the need to allow the solo racers to remove themselves from the worst threat as soon as possible, either by taking shelter or sailing away from the worst of the winds. Francis Le Goff, race director, explained the decisions of the race direction. The depression is over the area, and some will have difficulty reaching the Iceland Gate. But as the situation is no better once through this gate, we preferred to make it the finish line so that the solo sailors can immediately make sure they can get to safety. The winds are not only strong but unstable. Also, the local effects in the fjords will not make it easy for other boats to get in and moor. So closing the course is the best solution, making this the finish line, and allowing the sailors to find the best solution for each of them, with the ongoing support of race direction, and the expertise of their respective technical teams. The objective is that when the worst of the depression has passed, expected to be by Saturday afternoon, the skippers can head for Les Sables, which in itself will not be simple, since they will not be sheltered from new strong winds. Le Goff added, "We knew in advance about these rapid and brutal weather changes in this area, but here our worst fears are coming true, in terms of the weather. But what everyone has experienced during the 1,500 miles or so of this ascent towards Iceland, the difficulty of the sailing and navigation, the struggle to manage the boats, the resistance to these harsh elements, represent an impressive preparation for a Vendée Globe."
Well, a very good evening. It is a Friday evening here in Les Sables, the west coast of France. We're 5 days into what is proving to be an extremely engaging Vendée Arctique Les Sables race. As we all probably know by now, racing is suspended for the skippers who pass through the Iceland Gate. And we've had 3 through so far. Dalin at just after midnight UTC, and then Jérémie Beyou coming through about 6 in the morning, or 4 in the morning, 4:04 in fact UTC, and 7:33 UTC through the gate was Thomas Ruyant. So all 3 of these skippers, racing is suspended for them as we wait for this big low pressure system to move through. The threat really is for the boats towards the back of the fleet, but all 3 of these skippers through and safe. Benjamin Ferré is in 4th place. He's got about 36 miles to go to the Iceland Gate and to suspend racing. But the key thing, certainly we know just now that Dalin and Thomas Ruyant are both on moorings in an Icelandic fjord, whereas Jérémie Beyou, who's decided to stay off in the lee of Iceland, and he's kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern. But let's look at the standings at 7 o'clock this evening. Just in, as I said, the first 3 skippers all in suspended animation, as it were. They are racing is suspended for them just now. We'll wait to see when they restart and how that process is going to be worked out. But Benjamin Ferré is in 4th place. He's about 36 miles to the Icelandic Gate. Then about 2.5, 3 miles behind him is Louis Burton, going a little bit slower than Benjamin Ferré in the Bureau Valley, but just keeping it safe and getting it's now upwind really for these guys who are approaching the gate. Then in 6th, Girek Suri on freelance.com. In 7th, Alan Rura. Alan Rura's made a great recovery. Remember, in that first light wind zone, in that high pressure ridge, well, he was way down in last, and he's really progressed up through the fleet on the Hublot, the former Hugo Boss, and in fact over the course of today he's got past Benjamin Dutreux and is now probably about 20 miles ahead of him. In 8th, Louis Duc, 9th, Benjamin Dutreux, who we just spoke about, Damien Seguin in 10th, 11th, Nico Lundven in Banque Populaire, going quite nicely. He has about 80 miles to go to the gate. Not far behind him is Isabelle Josch in 12th. 13th, Giancarlo Pedotti has been having really tough conditions. He's been reporting over 45, 50 knots in the gusts. So too Eric Bellion in 14th. 15th, Sebastian Marcet. And Pip Hare, who we spoke to earlier on in the day, will play her interview out very shortly. She's on Medallia, and she is just got about 130 miles now, mostly upwind. She is making about 20 knots actually just now on board the Medallia. She's not desperately happy about the decision, but she is taking it in her stride. She's ahead of Roman Attanasio, who's in the 17th. 18th is Antoine Cornic, who is way over in the east. 19th, Arnaud Boissier. 20th, Dennis van Verenberg, our Belgian skipper. 21st, Fabrice Amadeo and Conrad Coleman. 21st, 22nd, Kojiro Shiraishi, and 24th, well, as we know, actually, of course, Manu Cousin, the Les Sables d'Olonne based skipper, unfortunately had to abandon, or made the decision to abandon. He was basically, he turned downwind like last night, and then it became increasingly difficult for him to consider sailing all the way back up through to the gate. So unfortunately Manu Cousin has abandoned the race. First time he's ever abandoned a Mocha race since he started in the class in 2017. Now hopefully we can join Charlie Dalin, who's on anchor on the APIVIA, or on a mooring on the APIVIA in an Icelandic fjord. Charlie, can you hear us?
Yes, hello everyone.
Charlie, how are you? How does it feel to be neutralized in Iceland?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I was expecting a lot of the real to be here, surrounded by tall mountains with snow on them. Kind of weird.
How do you feel about the decision then? I mean, obviously it's the boats further down the fleet who are more threatened.
So about what, sir?
Yeah. How do you feel about the decision?
You're cutting out in this story. I'm not. I don't understand all.
I'm just asking you how you feel about the decision to suspend racing.
But hello.
Charlie, can you hear us? Charlie, can you hear us?
Hello.
I think we may try and get Charlie Dalin back. But we know that from the French broadcast that we were having some problems with the communications with Charlie, who's in this fjord in Iceland. We may try and get him back and see if it's any clearer, but it's pretty difficult. But in the meantime, let's have a look at the weather situation, as it was. It's pretty difficult, particularly, as I say, for the boats in the back part of the fleet. And really, you see this big red zone is the really strong winds. And it's the boats towards the back in the red area. Now they're getting the worst of the wind. And we see an even corridor of wind forming and strengthening in the north east of Iceland. The problem is that as the low pressure moves to the east, then we start to get more northwesterly flow on the other side of it. Now then that's really going to be towards tomorrow, around about midday tomorrow, the stronger northwesterlies come in, and the anticipation from our weather guru, from Christian Dumard, is that we should finally see the worst of the low through by Saturday evening, Saturday night, and into Sunday morning. So the big question is how we will restart, and that decision has still to be taken by our race management team, by Francis Le Goff, and of course the Vendee organisation. But it will be some kind of a restart with staggered starts, we believe. So let's listen to and indeed see Pip here. We spoke with Pip earlier on the day. As say, not desperately happy. She's a skipper who has got huge experience, really likes the tough conditions. She said that she would actually have preferred to be a master of her own destiny and making the decision herself, but very much goes along with the decision to suspend racing. And this was Pip earlier on when we spoke to her. Yeah, how was last night for you?
Last night was okay, actually. I'm trying to remember now. Some fast sailing into the bottom of the low, the big kind of blob of the low. And then this morning, since about, 3 o'clock this morning, it's been really difficult. 1 minute there's 35 knots of wind, the next minute there's 8. It's coming from all directions. I haven't stopped. Every time I think, right, I'm going to have something to eat, I'm going to have a little nap, conditions change again, and I have to do something else. So it's really full on.
What do you have now in terms of wind speed?
So now I've got 18 knots of wind speed. So I think now I am in the kind of bottom south sector of the low pressure now. It's really hard to work out though, because none of the forecasts are accurate enough to show you exactly what's going on in the middle. And I think kind of the middle of it is a lot bigger than any of us thought it was going to be, and was quite a bit further south as well.
So what does that mean in simple terms?
So I think it means I'm going to get a kicking this afternoon. I think I'm now kind of in the westerly flow, and I'm expecting to see that build as the low pressure goes up kind of in a northwest direction. Then I'm going 19 knots at the moment, so I might be able to stay ahead of the worst of it, but I'm kind of braced to see 40 knots maybe this afternoon.
And what do you feel about the decision to put the race on hold once you go through the gate?
Oh, it is so hard. I sent a message to the race management saying, I understand how difficult it is because no one's going to be happy. Every single person has made different tactical decisions. Is playing a long game. We've all got different objectives in this race. Most of all, we want to stay safe. We want to qualify. But we're also racing as well, and we've put a lot of energy into getting where we are now. Someone like me, I'm only just starting to find the fleet now because it always takes me a while to hit my stride. So the last thing I want to do is stop. Takes me ages to rev back up again. I think it's really hard. I understand why they did it, but I think I would prefer to be given the choice. And that's the big thing. We are all skippers of our own vessels. We're experienced seafarers. We are able to make decisions as to where we should and shouldn't be. And I would like to be able to make that decision. Certainly, I don't know that I particularly want to stop. But then I don't know how this weather is going to evolve. I think I need to watch it and see.
So there we go, Pip here saying she would like to have been able to make the decision herself, but goes along with the situation, and to say she's about 140 miles, something like that, to the Iceland Gate. And now, I say we didn't manage to get through to Charlie Dalin, number one substitute, Maxime Cognet, the presenter of the French show. Maxime, how was Charlie?
Charlie was a bit disappointed when he learned that the race was stopped for the moment, but then he said we have to think about the others, so that's what he said. And the other thing new for him and for his boat, APIVIA, is that it was a night arrival, but with sun, and it's new for him. So he's with Thomas Ruyant, and then they can talk.
He's a vampire, isn't he?
No, Not sure. Ask him when he will come back, but no, he's not a vampire.
He's in good spirits though, wasn't he? He seemed to be. He was a little bit disappointed to start with.
Just a little bit disappointed, but he said we have to think to the others, so he wasn't after. Just a little disappointed, just a bit of disappointment, and then he was happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Max. That's what you have for you this Friday evening. Of course, it's gin and tonic time now. Join us tomorrow, Saturday, 7:30 here in France, 6:30 in the UK, and 5:30 UTC for a little bit of Vendée flash.
Yes, premier sur la ligne de neutralisation. On verra sous quelle forme ça prend, mais en tout cas ça s'est fait, ça s'est pris. Une fois encore, APIVIA arrive de nuit parce que ce bateau ne sait faire que ça. Mais comme ici, la nuit il fait jour, et on t'a bien eu mon petit bateau.
Donc la direction de course a décidé d'arrêter la course au passage d'une ligne et de nous mettre à l'abri.
Si les 3 premiers sont déjà arrivés depuis la nuit dernière et se tiennent en 7 heures d'écart entre Charlie, Dalin et Thomas Ruyant, le reste de la flotte doit continuer sa remontée au cœur de la tempête. Seul Manu Cousin a choisi de redescendre vers l'Irlande et finalement de renoncer à la course. Les autres skippers affrontent des conditions très changeantes, impressionnés par leur bateau et le déchaînement des éléments.
Ça va tellement vite. C'est trop bon quand c'est comme ça, quoi.
C'est un endroit magnifique. Bon, on s'est fait un beau braque sous Génac et là on se prépare à la baston. Un peu en avance je pense, mais c'est pas grave.
C'est chaud. C'est beau aussi.
Donc là j'ai 45 minutes établi, je vais prendre ma première rafale à 50 là. Et ça se passe plutôt bien. Le tourmentin c'est la première fois de ma vie que je le mets.
Voilà, ça tartine à bord de hublot, ça biche. C'est pas de tout repos, mais c'est plutôt chouette.
Mettre la course entre parenthèses paraît raisonnable à Isabelle Autissier, figure de la course au large et grande connaisseuse de la navigation en Islande.
Évidemment, la direction de course, elle prend des décisions pour tout le monde. J'imagine qu'elle se base sur les plus fragiles et les plus faibles, et en se disant, qui peut le plus peut le moins. Et encore une fois, c'est jamais des décisions complètement faciles, mais bon, là, il s'agit encore une fois, c'est une compétition, c'est un jeu, hein, donc bien sûr, c'est la sécurité des marins d'abord, quoi.
Voilà l'Islande. Venez découvrir l'Islande. Et ça boucaille. Ah ouais, c'est sûr, c'est la Bretagne en plus. Et un peu plus hostile. Ouais, bonjour à tous, c'est Charlie sur APIVIA. Bon, je viens d'apprendre la décision de la direction de course d'arrêter la course après la porte. Donc ça veut dire on remporte cette Vendée Arctique 2022. Voilà, je suis super content. Voilà, la course s'est vraiment très bien passée et voilà, je trouve ça, c'est la première fois que j'apprends que je gagne une course en étant au mouillage. Donc voilà, petite première ici et je fête cette victoire en mangeant une fondue savoyarde avec vue sur les montagnes enneigées. Et voilà, pas mal. Allez, je pense à vous dans la canicule et je vous dis à bientôt au Sable d'Olonne.
Et voilà, bienvenue à bord de Banque Populaire. Salut. On est quel jour? On est jeudi. Mercredi ou jeudi? Ça va être jeudi, je pense. Les choses commencent à être un peu sérieuses là, le vent rentre doucement là, ça va, il y a 20 nœuds, mais
Mais devant nous, ça s'annonce un peu copieux, compliqué, avec du vent fort, une dep, un centre de dep qui nous passe dessus, enfin bon bref. Il y a un petit dossier et on a eu un message ce matin de la direction de course nous disant que du coup ils réfléchissaient à un changement de parcours, enfin une adaptation, on sait pas trop quoi, en vue des conditions météo qui nous attendent en Islande avec des fichiers, avec du vent sur les fichiers à 59. Sur une côte où il n'y a pas trop d'abri, quoi. Pour le voyage. Donc voilà. Donc normalement dans 2 heures on a la position, enfin on a la décision de la direction de course, savoir ce qu'ils font de notre sort, voilà. Et il commence à faire frais aussi. Et on est bord à bord avec Benjamin du environnement et tout à l'heure on était avec Éric Bellion, comme un seul homme. Allez, à plus tard.